Hi everyone, welcome to 401095 Mental Health and Substance Abuse. In case we haven't met, I'm Paul Simpson. I'm the unit coordinator for the 1H unit, Mental Health and Substance Abuse. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the early parts of January 2020. This is just a short video to provide a brief overview of the unit, such that you've got an idea of how it runs and what lies ahead. Different this year to previous years is bringing forward 3 weeks of content so that you get that knowledge and exposure to mental health in particular prior to going on your Block 1 emergency placement. Previous years, the actual teaching in this course hasn't started until you return from placement. But feedback from students has been that they would have preferred to have had some foundational mental health and substance abuse content delivered to them before they went on their placement, so they could make more sense of those experiences when they came along. And mental health related cases being such a big part of what we do in a paramedic workload, it makes sense to equip you better before you head out on your Block 1 placement in late January. So in a way, you're experiencing a restructure of the unit, the first group who are experiencing this approach. So I hope it's helpful. The unit starts on the 6th of January. And we've got, for the first 3 weeks, we have a recorded lecture each week, but we have face-to-face on-campus tutorials for each of those weeks too. And it's absolutely vital that you get to those tutorials because they're foundational content that will directly impact on the successfulness of your emergency placement. Giving that, for many of you, as I just mentioned, you will attend a lot of people with mental health related presentations or people with other presentations who have a mental health history as well. So pre-recorded lectures for the first 3 weeks, but on-campus tutorials. I'll be doing the on-campus tutorials in those first 3 weeks for the week 1 and week 3. And then one of our New South Wales paramedics who's a casual academic here, Lewis Shabella, will be delivering the face-to-face tutorials in the second week, that week commencing, I think it's the 13th. The way this unit's generally structured is the first half of it is predominantly mental health related, and the second half switches more to substance abuse. And there's a couple of weeks in the middle where the two obviously cross over, because we know that comorbidity in context of mental health and substance abuse occurring concurrently in patients as comorbidities is extremely high. Where there's one, there's frequently the other. And we'll go into the nuances of why that might be the case in the unit itself. We have a couple of periods when you look at the teaching activities for this unit at the back of the unit learning guide, a couple of periods where we give you blocks of weeks without any content. And that's to make up for the fact that we brought those 3 weeks early before placement and to account for the time that you actually put into your study when you're on placement. So there are those several weeks when you first return from placement where we don't have any face-to-face teaching commitments and there's no new content. And there's another extra week just in front of the inter-semester break later in the unit where you also get a 2-week break as well. So we realise that the unit is long, seeing it is a 1H and it starts on the 6th of Jan, and we've built in those periods of relief throughout the semester such as to not overload you and make it an overly long semester without some sort of respite. So I hope that structure helps. From my perspective, I'm a unit coordinator and I'm your point of contact for anything and everything related to this unit. I'll be delivering the majority of the 2-hour lectures, face-to-face lectorials each week. There are 3 or 4 weeks throughout the semester where another person, either a guest lecturer or a casual academic, will be delivering content to you. In terms of the pracs and the tutorials on Friday, I'll be in a small number of those, but most of those will be led by the casual academic team. The reason for that is not because I don't want to spend time with you in the prac room or not want to spend time with you in tutorials, but my workload as the director of the program is such that it does not include the capacity to be in a class every Friday. So therefore, as part of my workload management and my work-life balance, I'm not able to be in every one of those tutorials and pracs. Even though in a perfect world, I'd love to be there with you because there's something that I quite enjoy. However, there'll be very capable casual academic staff in those tutorials and practicals who will guide you through the content that you've already been exposed to in the face-to-face lectorial with me and in the pre-reading. As you know, there's an alternation between sort of tutorials and pracs. Sometimes a few pracs in a row, sometimes a few tutorials a row, but there's a split of about half and half. So you need to be keenly across what's happening from week to week so that you ensure you turn up with your appropriate uniform. You don't want to find yourself turning up to a prac week thinking it's a tutorial. So if in doubt, always check views. Views will be correct, and the weekly plan in views will let you know exactly what is on. I would appreciate if you only come to the allocated tutorials or pracs as per allocate. If you turn up to a tutorial or a practical, other than the one that you've been allocated to without prior consultation with me, sadly, you'll be turned away and you won't be admitted into that tutorial or practical. We cannot have an overload of students in one and an underload in another. That's unfair on your peers. So I hope that's really, really clear. While we are keen to accommodate, and we can accommodate changes and swaps in tutorials and pracs from time to time, it is vital that you advise me of it and seek permission first. Otherwise, you will be turned away and you won't be participating. It's no good just turning up spontaneously to a prac and asking the casual academic at the start, do you mind if I just pop into this one? The answer will be, show evidence from Paul that you've corresponded and he's approved it. If you don't have that, you won't be able to come in. We have to keep it tight so it's fair for other students in the groups. We have the right dynamic in these classes. The high expectation will be held in terms of your uniform in pracs, full uniform with appropriate boots and a name badge and your personal equipment and so forth. And those who present regularly without those will certainly have a conversation with me to ensure that we're on the same page moving forward. There are some guest lectures that come in from time to time throughout this semester, and there are times when, while scheduled, those guest lecturers pull out due to their own commitments in their own workplace. There's nothing that we can do about that. So there is some instability around guest lecturers from time to time, but I'm doing my best to provide several who might provide significant value to you. That's probably all we need to talk about as an introduction to the unit. I hope that's given you a sense of what lies ahead. This is an interesting and it's a challenging and it's enjoyable unit. It does take a big commitment from you. The content is significant, but also so is the engagement required, particularly in the practicals, to make this unit work. So both you and myself and the casuals will frequently be role-playing in the context of people with mental illness or substance abuse. I'll talk to you more about that in a separate video so that we're on the same page about the limits around what is appropriate and what is not, professional conduct when pretending to be a patient in a simulation, and then how we can maturely handle that such that we get the best learning experience for all of you. I'm sure you'll be great at it, but it's just about making sure that things stay controlled and that things don't end up inadvertently caricaturing or stigmatising people with mental health or substance abuse problems. I'll talk more in another video about the assessment schedule, making sure that's crystal clear for you and spelling out any issues and concerns there. In terms of communication with you, the main means of communication will be via the views discussion board. I need to try and centralise the communication in unit as best we can so that you can all learn from each other's questions. So be bold, be confident. Post your questions on the views discussion board and I'll answer them, and that way everyone benefits from those. I will answer emails independently. However, if it's an issue that relates to the cohort more broadly, well, I'll simply respond on the views discussion board again for the benefit of all. So I encourage you, I urge you to subscribe to the views discussion board. And if you're unsure of how to do that, there is a short video on the discussion board page that will show you how to do it. And I would expect you do that such that whenever a post is made on the discussion board, that you will receive a notification of that and you'll know to go there and check. You have a student obligation to check that twice per week, the views discussion board page. In terms of our email correspondence, 3 days or 72 hours is a very reasonable turnaround. That's what you can expect of me, but that's also what I expect of you as well. I don't expect you to pounce on emails and respond to me within 10 minutes, and I'm sure that you understand that I can't do the same. My consultation schedule and correspondence etiquette requirements are in the front of the ULG, and I encourage you to read those closely. Please do not send me emails with no capitals, with poor grammar that's written like a text. That simply won't get a response, okay? We're trying to help you develop and maintain professional communication skills, and emailing your unit coordinator fits into that basket of where that would be required. I'm not old and grumpy. I just like to have a level of professionalism that we both hold each other to account in terms of the communication with each other. My consultation time is in the ULG, and I'm very happy to meet with you on a regular basis if need be during those consultation times and outside those consultation times for something more significant. I realise that consultations might only be 10 or 15 minutes, and it might be a long way to come into campus if the consultation day is on a day when you don't have anything else at uni. So I'm very happy to do consultations via Zoom online, so you don't have to come into campus. No problems there at all. The key to a successful unit in my mind is me giving you my best, you giving me your best, and us communicating as best we can with each other as the semester rolls on. Very happy to take feedback and very happy to meet with you regularly. I'll wrap it up there, friends, until we see each other face to face in that first week back after the break. I hope you've had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope you've had some time down over the last 3-4 weeks where you've had somewhat of a rest, because this is a very big year that gains momentum and size as the semesters progress. So make sure you've had a good rest, come back in ready to go, and we'll have a good talk about this and more in other videos and face-to-face in the first week of January. Very looking forward to catching up with you all, and I hope that you enjoy 401095, mental health and substance abuse. I'll see you very soon.